America is in unprecedented territory. For the first time, a former United States president faces criminal charges in court. In one corner, a sleazy, slutty prostitute with no shame or credibility. In the other, Stormy Daniels. Donald Trump faces charges that he paid $130,000 in hush money to a porn star. No former president has ever stood trial before. This is the first of 4 criminal trials Donald Trump faces.
It's very serious. Like, he's the voice actor of a generation. He does like 21 voices on The Simpsons, and that's how we use him to do that. Elie Mystal is with us. He's a justice correspondent for The Nation. He's the author of Allow Me to Retort, A Black Guy's Guide to the Constitution. It's been too long since I've talked to him. His perspective and his viewpoint is necessary in these divided times. He's also the only person in the history of this show to do it with an Afro pick. Thank you for joining us, Elie. I appreciate the time. What do you find most absurd about both today and just the last, I'm going to say, 8 years of chaos?
There are 3 main witnesses in the trial that we're about to see, right? One is a former president of the United States. One is a low-rent fixer from the bridge and tunnel crowd who's already been to jail for lying to the FBI. And the third is an adult film actress. And it's the president with the least amount of credibility in the room. Like that's the thing that always kind of gets me, right? It's the actual president of the United States, which is the lowest hanging, sleaziest fruit in the entire room when put next to a fixer and an adult film star. That's kind of amazing. But it's where we are, because we know what happened here, right? Again, Michael Cohen went to jail for lying. So when he decided to tell the truth he told was that Trump slept with Stormy Daniels and paid him $130,000 to pay her to cover it up, right? That's fact, according to the FBI, who again jailed Cohen for lying about it in the first place. Then we have Stormy Daniels, who has done nothing but tell the truth. I mean, she might be able to lie to the camera for a living, but she doesn't lie about who she lays with, right? She ain't told a single falsehood in this entire story. So she knows who she slept with. She knows exactly the kinds of mushrooms that she's been dealing. She knows how much money she got, right? So the 2 people who haven't lied are not the president. And that's always amazing to me.
What do you expect to see today and the rest of the time in this trial? Because a criminal trial is different from some of his other courtroom shenanigans.
It's not, because he's white, so it's not. Like I expect to see chaos because Trump brings chaos, right? Look, if it was any other defendant, given his repeated violations of court orders and gag orders and propriety, and if it was any other defendant, Trump would be rolled into that courtroom on the Hannibal Lecter gurney, right? Just with the face mask, wouldn't be able to say anything because of his constant, repeated lies and falsehoods, right? But he's Trump. He's white. He's rich. So they ain't going to do that. They ain't going to wheel him in on the Hannibal Lecter gurney. They're going to let him walk into the courthouse, spew his ridiculousness, sit there for 6 hours where nobody gets to know, because there are no cameras in this courtroom for reasons passing understanding. So nobody gets to see it actually happen. Then he's going to walk out of the courtroom. He's going to lie about it some more. He's going to, it was unfair. And the judge's daughter hates me. And it's going to do it's going to be the circus for 6 weeks, because that's all Trump knows how to do, right? When you're a carnival barker, every problem looks like a clown, and that's what Trump is. Like, he's just a clown, and he's able to bring clownishness to anything he touches. Rick Wilson says everything Trump touches dies. That's true, but it's also everything Trump touches is sullied, right? Everything Trump touches is lessened, and that's what this trial is going to be like, just like all of his other ones.
What about consequences?
All right, so here's the thing. Obviously, I hate the man, and I wish nothing but bad things for him for the rest of his life. But he's accused of falsifying business records, which I think, clearly did. I think the prosecution will show that he reimbursed himself illegally and fraudulently for the hush money payments. But the thing is, we don't normally put people in jail for this kind of business fraud when it's their first time offense. And calling Trump a first time offender hurts me like in my soul. Like, I don't like that reality that we live in. But he is technically a 76-year-old first time offender, and we generally do not put people in jail, 76-year-old people in jail for a first time offense of falsifying business records. Not saying that he couldn't go to jail, but I'm saying that, just put it like this. If he went to jail behind these charges, that would be extreme. And Trump always, uses the justice system in the other way. He always gets the most lenient version of justice, not the harshest version of justice, right? Another way of putting it is, you'd have to be black to go to jail behind these charges, right? And whatever Trump is, he ain't black. And so it's unlikely that he will face actual jail time behind this case.
How important is jury selection? What happens if Trump gets one MAGA fan on the jury?
And then he wins. It's the whole ball game, right? Like I've always thought about the Trump trial kind of like the Hugh Freeze scandal, right? Like what's important here? Like, oh, I'm going to call all these prostitutes. Well, yeah, it's not really bad to call an. What's bad is that you're on the Ole Miss plane while you're calling the prostitute. Like that's what got Freeze. Now imagine you're trying to hold Freeze accountable, and somebody on the committee is a booster, right, of Ole Miss. Or now you're trying to hold Freeze accountable years later, and somebody on the committee is a booster of Auburn. Like, what happens then, right? And that's where we are with the jury selection. It only takes one MAGA cultist, and as much as New York City has this reputation of being, super liberal, it's not, right? I mean, Eric Adams is in charge, technically, right? Like, we got idiots here, too. And so it just takes one inserted into the jury to hang the jury, because it's a criminal case and you need unanimous consent. I will say, and I said this on television last night, like, as much as I think that jury selection is the entire ballgame, I'm not completely hopeless here, right? Because the goal of jury selection is not to find 12 people who don't have an opinion about Trump. That's impossible. Everybody's got an opinion about Trump. The goal is to find 12 people who are willing to put their opinions about Trump to the side long enough to hear the evidence presented at trial, right? And to give that evidence the fair shake, as opposed to their preconceived notions about Trump. Now, personally, I could not do it, right? If I was in the jury pool, I'd be like, no, you have to exclude me. I hate the man. Just get me out of this pool. Like, I can't be impartial about this man. Are there 12 people in New York City, which has quite a few people, who can, in good faith, treat this man impartially? I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance that you find those 12 people. Obviously, Trump's defense team will be looking for, they'll have their secret codes, and like, are you wearing the trucker hat underneath your, suit? Like, they'll be trying to find out who's actually MAGA and insert that person on the jury. That's what the defense is looking for. And if they get one or two of those people, that's it. It's ball game. But the prosecution and the judge, the jury questionnaire, I think, is very good. There's a chance that you could get a fair jury.
That goal seems unattainable to me, Elie. It just seems nearly impossible. You know what? It seems unattainable to me that you're going to find 12 people.
I mean, the other thing, Stu, though, is that the case is really simple, right? Like, there's not a lot. It's not a hard case to prove, right? Did you have sex with this woman? Yes. Did you pay her? Yes. Did you lie about why you paid her? Yes. Did you know you were lying while you were doing it? That's kind of right? So, like, to rule for an acquittal, you've got to not just be like a Trump supporter in the way that, like, I don't know, Chris Sununu is, right? You can't be the Susan Collins, like, Trump has learned his lesson, Trump support. Like, you've got to be like dyed in the wool Lindsey Graham, like, I live inside Trump's crevices, like, Trump supporter, in order to acquit him. And again, they could find that person, but like I haven't completely lost hope that that person gets excluded.
Do you think Trump will testify?
I mean, he'll want to. He'll say he'll want to, because he thinks everything's a show, and he has that, you know, performer sense that if I could just razzle dazzle him, I can get off. The problem is that when you put him on the stand, all of his prior lies and bad acts come out, right? Like right now, what's happening, like while we're on air, is that the trial right now, they're making evidentiary decisions in the trial. Does the Karen McDougal story come in? Because remember, Stormy Daniels ain't the only person that he had sex with outside the bonds of his marriage, right? So does that story come in? Does the National Enquirer catch and kill stories, do those come in? Does the Access Hollywood tape come in? Do we have to play that to the jury? And when Trump gets on, and, you know, the judge is going to make those decisions today. But when Trump gets on the stand, he can talk himself into introducing further bad evidence against him. So if I'm his lawyer, I'm doing everything I can to keep that man, again, gurneyed and ball gagged and in the chair. Whether Trump is able to overcome that, I can't know. He's, you know, the client gets to decide, and Trump likes the camera. The fact that there are no cameras in this courtroom, I think, lessens the chance that Trump testifies. Honestly, if there were cameras there, I think he would use it as a campaign ad. Without the cameras there, I think cooler legal heads will prevail, but you never know with this guy.
Elie, I have a pitch that I'm interested in seeing if you want to get in on. Maybe you come on as a consultant or whatever. We have Hollywood friends we can pitch this to. It's a sitcom. Maybe you talk to some people at NBC. It's called White House Arrest. Ooh. And what happens is you have either a former president or current president. They go to trial. They're found guilty. And because of age or because of severity of the crimes, they get house arrest. But it's at the White House, so they can't leave. Yes. White House arrest. Yes.
Okay, so first of all, constitutionally, just to be clear, there is nothing that prevents a person who has been convicted of a crime or is currently serving time for a crime from being president. That's just not something the white enslavers who wrote the Constitution decided to put in there, right? And no, you could be in jail and be president, right? So like that, just as a legal matter, your pitch does pass the smell test. It's possible for that to happen. I would argue though that I don't want to get
so you in
too
or
much
not
trouble.
Right, that's really
let's also remember something. Trump is the first president to be prosecuted because other criminal ass presidents in the past have not been held accountable for their actions. Right? Like there's some other presidents that we could have prosecuted if we were serious about this democracy in times before. Just to be clear, right? So like I think the reason why it's so important to prosecute Trump for his crimes, not just this one, but the ones that Jack Smith is working on and all the rest, is that it's the only limiting factor we have to stop future presidents from doing future crime, right? If take Trump's immunity argument. If you becoming president makes you immune, not only for the things you do as president, but everything you do for the rest of your life, you know, that's a principle that's not just going to apply to Trump. It's going to apply to every president going forward. And that's a terrible precedent because presidents are already fundamentally dangerous to democracy and democratic self-government.
Well, I mean, we're thinking like 22 minutes, maybe Ted Danson, not that serious.
You've attached my
track.
shirt.
Sounds like you're out. I mean,
Elie, I'm gonna read you 10 Donald Trump facts, and I want you to pick either the best or the worst one. However it is, just 10 facts. Are you ready?
Okay.
Donald Trump once said that wind turbines cause cancer. Donald Trump once claimed that household bleach could cure COVID in, quote, 1 minute. Donald Trump founded a fake university. Donald Trump has been accused of sexual misconduct by at least 26 women since the 1970s. Donald Trump called for the execution of 5 wrongfully imprisoned teenagers. Donald Trump oversaw a foundation that misused donations for self-dealing while failing to pay victims of 9/11. Donald Trump called the pandemic that killed 1.1 million Americans a hoax. Donald Trump oversaw an agriculture department that banned the phrase climate change. Donald Trump said that John McCain was not a war hero. Donald Trump shared highly classified information with the foreign minister of Russia.
The wind turbines is always the dumbest. Like it's just always so like it's the level of like not knowing of things to say that always like jumps off the page. But obviously I gotta go with the 26 women that he sexually assaulted, some of whom he has been accused of raping. Like that, joking aside, right? Dude is Bill Cosby out here when it comes to how he treats women, and it's just like we just accept it, like it just rolls off the tongue, right? It's just also they're 20. It's not ever one, right? It's never just E. Jean Carroll. It's never just Stormy. It's all these women that he has molested, assaulted, and in some cases raped, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to Christians. I mean, again, with the Hugh Freeze. Who rehabilitated Hugh Freeze? Was it Auburn? No, it was Liberty. It was the Christian university that was like, get that escort man back in here. Yeah, we got to win some football games. Like, it's the Christians that are okay with this. And sorry. So, wind turbines, obviously the worst.
Always great. Thank you.
In his defense, I did the bleach thing and it worked. I mean,
how do you think I got my hair like this? I was trying to cure COVID. My hair ended up like this.
Thank you, Elie.